All right. What's up, Blueprint family? Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you, Instagram viewers. You all are coming on in.
YouTube. Oh, there you go. YouTube coming on in.
Yep.
Yay. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tuesday. Yep. And so tonight's topic, I'm going to drop jewels about negging. What is negging?
Not nagging, but negging.
Yeah.
And no, we didn't make it up, but it's actually something that I had actually come across a couple days ago. And then I was like, I wonder if this would be a topic worth exploring. And I think it is, mainly because of the stigma around just negging being done to women. And now, more than ever, especially on the online community, I have seen a lot of it actually being done to men and to women as well. But it's no longer that double standard where people are just saying that, oh, the negging is being done to the woman. So what the heck are we talking about? What is negging? Did we make it up?
I think of course, it's an immature thing. Once you get into it, you'll see what we're talking about. It reminds me of children, boys and girls communicating in a playground to me. That's what it, like a form of flirting. We're going to get into it, show you all what it means.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you're on a date and your date says, I'm glad you got a job, but I'm not sure how you can afford to live on that salary. Or you're pretty much better than your Instagram pictures. You're pretty, much better than your Instagram pictures.
Yeah, those are very subtle examples of negging.
Yeah, so that's what negging is. It's like a way of being, what do you call it? Flirtatious, but also
insulting.
Yeah, satirical, or either it's another word I'm looking for, but don't worry about it. Go ahead.
What do you think?
Well, I was thinking about the word it's like when you're being I'm gonna have to think of it. I'll bring it up. I'll say it when I think of it. But it's something I don't use that often.
Yeah, I get you. Totally understandable because it's nighttime. But, basically, it really isn't a way of identifying a person that makes a deliberate backhanded compliment. So what we mean by that is that the remark is meant to, it first starts off quite pleasant, but it's actually a subtle form of emotional manipulation, because what it's actually trying to do is undermine your confidence and make you feel insecure. We're going to go into usually why this is actually, more common now than ever. What?
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm. Okay, kind of.
It's a form of flirtatious sarcasm.
Yeah, kind of. It can be. There's actually a lot of different forms of what negging is, but it's become so common, and it's actually very harmful and very it's not healthy within the dynamics of when you're dating or even in a relationship in general. So this term, though, was pretty much coined back in like the 1990s. I don't know if people are aware of during that time with like the pickup line community, where pickup lines were really popular, and men, that's why this is more so connected to being done to women, because men had often, kind of started it as a way of, like you were saying, flirtatiously, complimenting a woman, but with a subtle dig, added on in there. But now more than ever, a lot of women are also doing these types of unhealthy communication as a way to, I guess, get out like a way of, making the person feel insecure about maybe their financial situation, especially when, their looks. I don't know, anything from the job that they do. It's a lot of different reasons why a person would do that when you're dating. But this can also occur within a relationship. And it's very, very harmful, especially when it's connected to criticism that's not done in a healthy, constructive manner. So we're going to get into how to actually do negging in a more healthy way too, because that's important. Because it's not like you can't joke around and play. It's a total distinction between the two. So we're going to definitely make sure to get on into this. But it's a live show. So if anybody also has any comments or questions as we go along, feel free to go ahead and hop on in and ask us if you need more clarification, or, have an example yourself of this being done to you, man or woman. Please offer the conversation. Offer to the conversation.
And usually when people would talk about negging in the past, it was usually um oh, I'm sorry. Are many different types of negging. So we're going to talk about types of negging. Backhanded compliments. These are compliments that are actually insults in disguise. So, for example, you may say to someone, "You look great, but you'd be even prettier if you lost a few pounds."
Yeah. That's the more common one, especially when it comes to maybe if a woman or a man is overweight. I've heard this as well. If a guy is too skinny, and be like, "Oh, he's cute, but he look better
Or
if he
he's
has
too
some
short.
muscles." Right? Yeah, he's cute, but he's too short, like you're saying. Yeah, that's little ways of having that compliments actually disguising as insults, and this is not really nice, especially if you're trying to date a person. But, you just got to be aware of how you're coming off within not only dating, but your relationship as well. Because these backhanded compliments can really, have an impact on a person's self esteem, how they feel within the relationship with you, the overall dynamics that you are going to have. So it's just really important to be conscious of how you're communicating, especially if you're in a relationship. I think you get a little more grace maybe if you're dating, but yeah.
And teasing, this is a form of more subtle negging. So, where you make fun of someone, disguising it in a playful way. If you I'm sorry, if the comments are made in a playful and respectful way, they are likely not intended to be harmful. But if the teasing is constant, or if it makes the person feel bad about themselves, it can be considered negging, usually if it continues after you address it. Yeah, that's insulting.
Mhm. Yeah. But you wouldn't be surprised of how often this actually happens, especially within the realms of, the new age. This term, I mentioned that it was coined back in like the 1990s, but it has now gained, I think it was like around 2020 when COVID hit and more people were online and stuff like that. The online community of all the interactions of different people actually was like fertile ground for people to engage in not it's not just bullying but just harmful way of communicating with one another. And negging was actually, it kind of went viral on TikTok in the sense of it was a thing that women were learning to recognize as well. But it's important, that's why I really wanted us to talk about it, because it's important not to put the stigma on it and say that just women are victims of this, because now more than ever women are very um, they can be very manipulative with their words and say stuff that is meant to, make the man feel bad about himself just as much as the man may have done to the woman. So it's just really important that we're aware of how this can be done to both the man and the woman. And it's not, gender specific, but certainly something that you need to watch out for, especially if you are dating, because this is not a healthy way to start off communication within a relationship in general. And certainly probably wouldn't be someone that you would want to date if you have told them, I don't like the way you're kind of teasing, or, whatever. Can you dial it back a bit, or,
But
adjust or whatever?
why would anybody date somebody that's insulting them?
Yeah. I mean, but you wouldn't. That is actually one of the things that we're going to dig into a little more, because of the need for approval that can often stem from negging being done. So the man, for example, may feel the need to want to then prove to the woman, "Oh, who cares? I make this amount of money. I got money." He'll feel the need to want to prove to the woman something, or vice versa. The woman may feel the need to want to prove something to the man, looking for their approval, just because, harmful it's a harmful environment of communication, a hurtful environment of communication, which, can trigger some deeply rooted traumas in a way. So it's just something to, kind of be aware of, because people would, especially if they have been abused before, people would more likely to accept something like this because they may not value themselves enough, or they may have low self-esteem. So just something to be aware of.
To me, I mean, if you got negging, I mean, it's only negative if the person takes it that way. They take
Yeah.
it personal.
Yeah,
Has
and
to
that's
deal
one of
with
the
a
ways to not, you know, deal with it is not
right.
to take it personal.
I
Yeah.
mean, because these backhanded comments and things like that to me is if you know the person and y'all are cool, this is just a form of play.
Well, it depends on the relationship dynamic.
Right. It does. That's
Certainly,
well,
if
I
y'all play
said,
like that, yeah.
yeah. If y'all play like that, then that's cool.
hmm
Because I play like this. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's fun, to do this with people that I know. I just don't be giving backhanded compliments to people I don't know,
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. It's just fun to me. This is like my
Yeah.
sarcastic humor.
Yeah,
In a
but
way.
yours is done in a different that's
You
kind
don't
of what
like
you were
it though,
talking
do
about.
you?
Well, when you do it in a playful, respectful way, I don't mind it. Like, and that's usually how it's done. And most of the time, we've been together for so long, I've recognized that as just certain ways. And you don't do it that way. Like, it's not like you go and negging is very it's kind of like that gray area where you have to identify if it's actually meant to be hurtful, if it's meant to be manipulative, if you're trying to get the person to think about, am I too fat, or am I broke, or am I this, or am I that, because they're giving you that thing. Much different than you simply poking with someone because you love them, and it's not even like you're really your form. What you do is more
It's
like,
like love taps.
yeah, and that's a lot.
So
It's a lot different because it's playful and it's respectful. So that's the distinct difference between negging and the actual playful teasing that's done. And especially if now, for example, if I had told you that I didn't like a certain comment, and then or just saying you because you brought it up, but if that were to happen and I were to say that and then addressing it, and then the next time you deliberately remember that, oh, you don't like this, I'm gonna do it anyway. That is more, like
that's
that's
about right.
yeah, you don't do that. But that is more like, yeah, that would be considered more so actually trying to be hurtful, because you're not necessarily, looking to, if a person's saying, hey,
That's if
that's
you take
hurting
it.
my
That's if you
feelings.
take it personal, though.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know. It comes off like you just can't take this type of play, or whatever the case may be. It is subjective
Yeah.
based upon the people who are involved and whether they take it personal or not. And just be mindful of that, whether who you're talking to and whether they are getting very emotional about the way that you throw these comments at
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Now, I'm reminding you, these are just examples of how negging can look. And again, these are just, it's different forms of it. So another form would be comparisons. So say, for example, if you're comparing someone that you're dating to someone else in a negative way, for example, you'd be like, you're not as funny as my ex, or you don't do this like my ex. That is a deliberate attempt to get the person to kind of see, like, what am I doing wrong? Or,
Right.
like, or I'm not doing something right. Now that is more so a different form of negging, where it can be really deliberate, where you can see that if a person ever says, like, you don't do this, my ex did this, like, that's the actual form of them trying to
I
manipulate
don't
you
know.
to
I
do
like
something.
I guess I'm weird or something, but I take this as
Why?
being humorous. Like I take this is my form of, like I said,
Dark
my
humor. It's like
yeah.
dark humor.
I
Yeah.
enjoy this type of humor. I like it when you play with me this way and talk to
Yeah.
me this way. I mean, because we
It's
have that
different. Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah. And that's actually where it kind of started back in the 1990s. That's why I said, I wonder if anybody actually remembers this time where this phrase was coined, because the men because it was the pickup community that kind of started this, the men actually intended it to be a form of dark humor, where it wasn't necessarily, supposed to insult you or make you feel
No,
bad or
it
anything
is.
like that. But
It's fun. It's to
yeah,
them, me as a
it's,
man,
yeah,
it's fun criticism. It's fun insults.
yeah.
And hope that you don't take it personal, but you get a rise out of that person when they start, I guess, feeling upset in a way. And that's the bad part of it, is that you're getting
Taking pleasure in someone
right.
else's insecurities.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not nice.
It's not healthy, right? It's not a healthy form, and that's why it's
It could be a
important to
form
kind
of
of talk about.
bullying. It could
Yeah,
turn into bullying.
yeah, and that's actually kind of where it's
It
kind
could
of
be.
gone to within, like, now more than ever, because it's not, as it's not looking to be so much playful and respectful, but to legitly make a dig at you, and make you feel some type of way. And that's why it can be harmful. And it's important that, we call it out and call it for what it is, because again, it can it can happen to both men and women. It's not, just the women anymore that are going through anything like this. So it's just one thing to really be mindful of. And in particular, when I think of a way that women actually do it, one is playing hard to get. Now more than ever, this is actually a form of negging, where you act like you're not interested in a person, even though you really are. Because this, in a way, that behavior is going to make a person feel insecure, or feel like they need to work harder, or feel like they need to win your approval in some way.
Or either just leave you alone.
Right,
I
but
didn't mean to interject.
yeah, but kind of that's not the objective of the person who is doing the negging per se. They don't want the person to leave them alone. They're playing hard to get in the disguise to get the person, to get the guy to try harder, get him to do more, get him to do that. That is harmful, and it's not helpful or conducive to if you're actually trying to have a relationship. It's not healthy overall.
Unless you do it in a flirty way, I think.
What do you mean?
I mean, I wouldn't.
Well, playing hard to get flirty wise, like I'm trying to think of like something like when I giggle when you make advances at me or something like that. Be like, no, stop, or stuff like that.
Yeah,
like maybe,
that's still the same thing. Yeah, playing hard to
not
get.
really, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
I mean, it's not as severe as like just cursing the person out and be like, ew, I'm disgusted at you.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really tell whether that, they're playing hard to get. But I mean, that's a form of it. Especially if you're still giving them attention and time.
Yeah.
So
you can end up making somebody simp for you just because you
playing hard to get.
And you're actually manipulating them to do more for you. So I mean, but it's a little different than if you're just saying, if you're just playfully, again, that's where that line has to be drawn to, where is the play respectful? Is it playful? Is it something that's mutual? What's the intention behind it? And that will all really determine whether or not this person is trying to have a healthy communication relationship with you, one that's playful and fun, or one where there actually, some ulterior motive behind it that you may need to be aware of, just so that, because I do think when a person is trying to manipulate you in one way, they may try to manipulate you in another way. And that, it can be a toxic little spiral if it's not something that you set boundaries on or you recognize and call out, especially if you are uncomfortable, men and women. If a person is playing in a way that doesn't make you comfortable, or if they're insulting you in a way that, you don't like it, you feel like it makes you uncomfortable, certainly call that out. That's one way to set that boundary, so that in the relationship, they will know, but we'll get into more of how you can actually, address negging if it does happen to you. But for now, a little bit more about the
negging.
Examples.
Oh, I'm sorry. Negging can be criticism, where you point out the person's flaws. However, if the criticism is constructive and offered in a helpful way, it is not considered negging. We'll talk about this, pretty much later.
Yeah, because that's really a gray area where we're going to have to dig into a little more and give examples of how you can give that constructive criticism in a relationship without engaging in negging. So yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But there are a few reasons why, people neg. And in particular, we're talking about why I don't like the term that the term that they use of a person who does the negging. You can think of it in your own mind, kind of what that means, or the term that they use. But
a negger.
Yeah, I don't really like that term. That is that's really close. But anyways, yeah, but you get it, like. So, but anyways, there are a few reasons to why a person can neg and actually do these things. And in particular, it's really to make their target, or the person that they're negging, feel insecure and maybe even dependent on them in a way. Maybe even, like we were talking about, having them, to try harder, especially if they want that person to seek their approval, or to, make them more likely to engage in another behavior that they want, or give them the attention that they want, or the validation that they want, or maybe even the sex that they want. So it's all different forms of what the person, all different intentions behind what the person is trying to get from you when they are negging. And it's going to be based on the person, especially even male or female. More common, of course, women talk about men negging for sex, to be able to get sex out of a woman, but women just as much neg for attention or validation.
I think men probably beg instead of neg for sex. I don't think that works for the negging part, but begging may.
Very good observation.
So negging is also done to test targets' boundaries. So negging can be, that's what I do. So negging can be a way for people to see how much the target is willing to put up with. If the target accepts the negging without complaining, without complaint, the person may see this as a sign that they are easy to manipulate.
Mm-hmm. That's mainly like if a person is dating a person and they are constantly making certain digs at them. They trying to see how much they can say to you without you feeling some type of way.
Until you get frustrated and get cursed out.
Right.
That's the fun part.
You do have dark humor though. Thankfully, I have come to. I don't really mind it. I think because our son has it too, I've come to not really pay it much mind. I don't know. A lot of it I kind of miss. Like, if that makes any sense. Not that I'm ignoring it, but it's like
I don't know. I think
maybe
it's
I
a
don't
guy
know.
thing. Like, for real.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I
it
don't
actually
know.
is, and that's again why I wanted to this was
no, you're
brought up.
right. It's not really just a guy thing. I mean, it's a personality thing.
It is, and it's now more common more than ever, but it started off as a guy thing, and that's why I wanted to really bring it up, because the stigma around that. Well, sure, it is, it was something more common for a guy to have if he has that dark humor. But a lot of women now have that dark humor as well, and they can be insulting, and they can be rude, and they can be mean.
Yeah,
and
but I don't think they, I don't know if,
oh, I've heard them.
Yeah.
I have heard comments, or you see
Yeah,
comments.
but I don't know. They may be more malicious.
Yeah.
In the intent. I think, they're more malicious in the intent. Because normally when guys say it, this is just a joke, humor.
Especially among other men.
Right.
You guys are more comfortable, joking and playing, like that. But yeah, a woman, most of the time, if she's doing something like this, she could really be trying to, get under your skin.
So that's what you're saying. And so now this was part of the bro culture, which died out after the Me Too movement or something that had happened. So this died out. And so what you're saying is that more so women now are doing this?
Well, yeah, and
that's just what you see on social media.
Yeah, well, not only that, but just in general, just day-to-day life too. Like, you hear what people say, how people say things to each other, like just normal. It's become a form of normal conversation to where it's really unhealthy though. And a lot of times within our society, we don't address these
What
things.
makes it unhealthy? The ill intent?
Yeah, the insult behind it. There's a way to go about, especially if it's supposed to be constructive criticism, there's a way to go about it in a way where you're not offending the person, or trying to, belittle them, especially if you love them or you're interested in them and you want to date them. And then also too, this is something to be aware of if you are dating and you want to make, suggestions of whatever of how you met this woman, things that you would want, or things from this man that you would want. Maybe you want him to over time make more money, or you want her over time to lose weight, whatever it is, how to go about that in a way that's healthy and won't impact so much each other's self-esteem and mental health. And we can't downplay how important it is that we as a society gain healthier ways of communicating with each other. The bullying is at an all-time high, and it's not just done within children or young adults. Now more than ever, adults are doing a lot of the bullying to each other, and we're not setting positive examples on how to communicate with one another without having to insult one another or, blame or criticize or, all these unhealthy ways of communicating. But yet we want healthy relationships. It really all starts with, how we come off, how we communicate with each other. Yeah.
But whatever happened to just being, not caring about what other people say?
Yeah.
understanding, who you are, and standing firm in your beliefs about who you are, and having a high self-esteem.
Yes, that is actually the way to combat that, because if you have a healthy self esteem, you should stand up for yourself
Right.
if someone is negging you or insulting you in a way that you don't like.
Because what I've learned, especially when people talk bad about you, and they don't even know you from a can of paint, more than likely that is a condition that they are in,
Hmm.
and that is something that they are going through, and it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, not
So
to
that's
take
what
it
I've
personal.
learned, right?
Yeah.
Not to take stuff like this personal. And it is a reflection of their current circumstance and their stressed out situation, and needing to vent frustration out on someone else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's certainly true. Especially when it comes to you not knowing a person, and it's just a random comment being made. I 100% agree that you got to have kind of thick skin when it comes to that nature. But if you're dating and in a relationship, it's not healthy to, especially if it's not an agreed upon form, a way of communicating with your spouse. One that, it's, again, if you're in a relationship, it should be really easy to kind of pick up on your spouse's sense of humor and understand that, and have a common ground for that.
mhm.
But if you're dating and the person is constantly insulting you or undermining you or trying to damage your self-esteem in particular, which is one of the main reasons why negging is very harmful within a relationship. It can make a man and a woman feel insecure and inadequate in their own relationship.
Yeah, especially if you're already having problems or issues.
Yes. Yeah.
So you
Or if
don't
you haven't even gotten started yet, like you're already questioning whether I'm worthy enough or am I good enough, or
right.
that's not a great way to start your relationship.
No, not at all. You don't want to inflame the situation and
Hmm.
light the relationship on fire. So,
Yeah, it can. Then low self-esteem as a result of that will certainly make it so much harder to actually maintain a healthy relationship. So you certainly want to be just mindful of how what the words you're saying and how you're communicating with your spouse or someone you're dating could influence their self-esteem. That's just, it's important, especially if you want that reciprocated energy. You don't want your spouse to be insulting you all over the place. You know what I mean? So it's just important, something to be mindful of.
okay. And it can cause a person to constantly feel like they don't have their spouse's approval. So this can be a very unhealthy dynamic and can lead to abuse. This can lead to codependency, where the target becomes dependent on the other person for their emotional well-being.
Yeah, that's that insecurity that we're kind of talking about. 'Cause especially if you start off your relationship like that, then the man or the woman is constantly checking with their spouse of how does this look? How does this feel? How can I do this? How can I do that? Versus being confident within themselves and allowing themselves to be what their spouse loves, and just based off of being who they want to be and actually being happy and secure in that. So it's just certainly, yeah, it can spiral down to a person being codependent on you because they're trying to seek your approval because you started the relationship off undermining that.
Mhm.
So that can be a little tough.
It can lead to anxiety and depression. The constant barrage of negative comments from a person can lead to anxiety and depression. Yes, it is energy draining. This can make it difficult to function in a daily life and can have a negative impact on the target's overall health and well-being
Yeah.
if you choose to, take it personal.
Hmm. Yeah. But I think that's a lot harder too if you're in a relationship. Like, or if you're,
I mean, well,
um,
you talk
yeah,
about
you
this.
don't be with a person like that.
You
Yeah.
know, well, you communicate this to the person. If they continue to do so, then
Hmm.
you exit,
Yeah.
get out of it.
Yeah, certainly. And this is also too why I think it's important to address it because it is something that is so common within our society of how we communicate with each other. The negative comments can often lead to a person having anxiety and depression if, they're, say for example, your husband is already, or your man, your boyfriend, y'all not married yet, whatever, he's already hearing things at work that lower his self-esteem, make him not feel, good, causes him to have anxiety or, depression. And then he talks to you, and you're also giving him negative comments about, how he's not good enough, or, all of that can really just break down the mental health of a person. And mental health is really important. That's something that we can't continue to overlook, especially within our society. So if you are in a relationship, it's important to have that healthy dynamic to where you're not engaging in behaviors that are possibly going to cause anxiety or further deepen a person's depression, especially if they're already in one.
So it is important
What do you
to
think? None.
it is important to set boundaries and to stand up for yourself if someone is negging you. You deserve to be treated with respect, and you don't have to put up with negging, or you just don't take it personal.
Yeah. Especially, if it's not somebody, if you're willing to just, be done with it. I think that's important to recognize within a relationship. Or more so if you're dating and this person doesn't do what you like, you set up that boundary of, I don't like you saying these things or communicating this way to me, and choose to stay with them or move on. And hopefully, again, you choose to be treated with the respect that you want. And that's certainly by having established those boundaries very, very early. And we talk about that. And I think in particular, it's important for men to establish how they, the things that they will and will not tolerate with the woman when it comes to her tongue. Because a woman's tongue can be very, very vicious. And it's important for a man to set that boundary early. Like, hey, I don't like being disrespected this way. I don't like, those subtle digs. I don't like, that you communicating in that way. And then, set up whatever the consequence that you feel would be necessary based off of, however you feel you should handle things. And even too, women too, being able to speak up. But more so, I really think now it's overlooked how much women are doing this, and how we have to be mindful of making sure that we're not trying to manipulate anybody just by what the things that we're saying and we're telling them, just so we can get something from them or get them to act a certain way or do a certain thing. It's just really something to be mindful of and call it out.
So if you feel comfortable doing so, you can directly tell the person that they are negging you. This can be effective in shutting down the behavior. And then next, you can walk away, of course. So if you're not comfortable calling the person out, you can simply walk away from the conversation. This shows that you're not interested in engaging with them. That's probably the best thing to do. And then, like I always say, don't take it personally. So remember that the person who is negging you is trying to manipulate you. Their words are not a reflection of your own, unless you enjoy this type of humor like I do. So you can just go back at them and neg back at them. And then, just don't take it personally.
Well, then that's not called negging. Then again, that's the distinct difference between that playful teasing in a way that, is fine if that's how you do it. And it's understandable. I think in particular to address that, maybe just tell the person like, hey, I like, when I make jokes, they can be a little on the crude side or whatever, just so I don't know, some way of giving your date a little peek into what your humor is.
Full disclosure.
Yeah, and what your humor is. And, it'd be okay with if they say, I'm a little insecure about my weight. How about, not making jokes about that, man or woman? Because I've heard the weight jokes being flown at men too. So it can really apply both ways. And I really just wanted to make sure that we are establishing that men and women have this done to them. So we really had to be aware of that and understanding the reflection of your worth is not so much in what somebody says, like you had said,
right,
man or woman. So the last part.
So here are some tips on how to offer criticism in a relationship without negging. So choose the right time and place. Don't criticize your partner when they're feeling stressed or vulnerable. Instead, wait until you're both calm and in a good place to have a conversation. I think that those are things that I can work on too. So focus on your behavior.
Really? You think you nag? I don't think you do.
No, I do. I mean, since we discovered this, I do, but I do it more so as a form of humor but often at times it gets to you because it isn't the right time to do it. But that's the fun
Give me
part
an
of it.
example. I'm trying to think of what you mean. I'm trying to think. Um,
Like when you're in your monthly,
that's
when you're in your
different. I take
period.
everything
Right, yeah. That's the
personal.
best time to do it. It's fun because you and I don't mean no harm by it. I don't. It's just humor for me. It's how I cope with
I
your
don't even see
hormones.
that. I guess that's so funny that you would say that because I don't
You
even
don't
see
see it that
that
way,
as
right?
yeah, and I
But
think it's because I'm so
you're
used to it. But I
right,
just know like a lot of the times you just messing with me. Like
right. That's why I do it because you're easy to upset. I don't, I just got to poke the bear. And then once you get upset, I'm like, oh, too much, and then I got to draw it back and then give you a hug and be like, I'm just playing, and then
oh yeah,
that's
because
it.
I get pouty. But that's again my cycle, and I'm pouty during that time anyway. So it's not so much like
I mean, I can't help myself. It's just I gotta do it. Like it's
that's
part of
just you picking with me. Again,
right,
that's a little different.
right. I mean, but often at times it doesn't.
Because they're not personal attacks on me. You never really personally attack like or say something that, and that's more so what negging is. If it's like that like so for example, if you're trying to kind of directing back to the criticism aspect, if you're, trying to offer criticism, negging would be like focusing on your spouse. The way to handle it in a constructive, healthy way would be focusing on the behavior that you're not happy with and not so much the spouse. If you get what I'm saying. So it's a little different because you more so pick with things I guess I'll do during that time of the month, like just because you see it. But it's not so much
Nah,
like
this is everything.
yeah, but
You what you do, and
yeah, I don't know. I don't really see
I'll
that as
make up
negging, but I
stuff.
get what you.
Yeah, I just joke. I joke with
Yeah.
you, but I know not to do it then. But I just got to because you're so vulnerable and fun at that moment in time. It's healthy relationship humor. I mean, I don't mean nothing by it. I don't
No,
mean
I
nothing
know.
by it.
Yeah. I
But
mean, yeah, that's
I've been
again.
trying to restrain myself though
Have
lately.
you?
Hmm.
I haven't noticed. Like, no, I really don't even notice a lot of it, to be completely honest. Again, I think it's because Robert has that sense of humor where he's like kind of, it's that dark humor, I call it, because it's, that's how he is. Like, he'll say little stuff and he gets it from you, honestly.
Hmm.
He's your junior. He really does get that from you. So a lot of it, I guess I ignore. But again, it's that line where it has to be, I know it's playful and I know you're
Right,
not
as
trying to
opposed to
disrespect
somebody
me.
who's a
Yeah.
stranger and just dating,
Right.
and then he's just he or she just comes off so insulting, but
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
playful way. They may not receive that.
in a
So
healthier way.
right,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
need to put all full disclosure especially if you're in a dating situation.
Right,
So
of how you joke around and how you and I think that's even healthy too, because like you mentioned in the whole Me Too movement, just in general of women being overly sensitive to certain
oh yeah,
comments
so
or
you
stuff.
definitely
So
don't do this in the workplace.
yeah.
Things like that you don't.
Yeah, it's just some things to be aware of, especially, within this environment day and age. So
Right.
yeah. Another thing to kind of head again back to the whole criticizing part in a way that's healthy but not negging. Certainly try to again be specific and focus on specifically what your spouse is doing, wrong per se, or doing in a way that is affecting you. Target that and not so much the person. So, for example, instead of saying you're always making me feel bad, you specifically have to say, when you criticize me in front of our friends or in front of our family, it makes me feel embarrassed or ashamed. That is one tactic in particular I've seen on like videos of women, how they will put their spouse down in front of company and, hit them subtle digs, whether it's about finances or sex or I've seen a lot of different ones done in different ways, but just understanding that it's not healthy and it's actually a form of manipulation, because what are you looking to get from making those subtle digs in front of other people? What is the whole goal behind that, usually? And if you are trying to make a constructive criticism, something that you want your man to do different or something that you want your woman to do different, certainly focus on, how it's affecting you. Like I had said, when you do this or when you criticize or do this behavior, it makes me feel in this way, and I don't like that. Or move on to the next part, which is to offer a solution. So if you are going to criticize your spouse, certainly be able to follow up with a solution, because that's going to show that you're not just trying to pick a fight with them,
Mm-hmm.
or tease them, or mess with them, or call be rude or whatever, but that you're actually interested in helping them and wanting them to improve. So for example, you could say like, I would appreciate it if you let me know that you were going to be late for our dates, or something like that. That way that you can plan whenever something like that happens, versus you just ghosting me or not saying anything or not showing up, stuff like that. So just being able to address the behavior that's being done, how it's affecting you, and then the solution of what it is that you want to be done instead. So that's just more of the healthier way to go about it, especially if you are in a relationship or if you are dating. Because again, this is a conversation that, if you have this type of sense of humor or whatever, and you don't want to offend your spouse, giving them, or the person that you're dating, giving them that heads up ahead of time, like, hey, I do this a little bit, let me know, if this offends you or something like that, so that I can scale back, or whatever it is that y'all need to help create that healthy dynamic, to where you understand each other's intentions and you're able to not take it personal, like you said, for the most part.
Yep, and be respectful. Even if you're not happy with your partner's behavior, it's important to be respectful when when they are criticizing them. So when you're criticizing them, so don't use name calling or insults,
Yeah.
and don't make them feel like they're worthless.
Yeah, certainly.
And of course, so we go into examples. So here's some examples of how to offer criticism in a relationship without negging. So you can say, I'm not sure if you're aware, but when you criticize me in front of our friends, it may make me feel embarrassed and ashamed.
Yeah, that was
We
what
talked
I was
about
talking
that
about.
one earlier.
Mhm.
Another one is, I would appreciate it if you could let
That
me
one too.
know. Oh, we
Sorry, it
already
went
did that.
back.
Okay.
Sorry. I listed down my examples. I skipped by. Go ahead.
All right. Here's a new one. I love the way you cook, but I'm not a big fan of your meatloaf. Is there anything else you can make for me next time, like tacos? Because I like
Right.
tacos.
Right. That's subtle way of making a suggestion, offering that solution if you don't like, your spouse's cooking or something like that.
And then another way, another one. I know you're really busy with work, but I appreciate it if you could make more time for me. I miss spending time with you.
That one I had thought about, because earlier today I had seen another video just of a woman, trying to explain how she wanted to spend more time with her man, and trying to, open the conversation up. But it was done in a way that, he was going to be like a little taken aback from it, not quite understanding, maybe, where she was coming from per se, or even understanding, the solution of kind of what she's actually looking for. So instead of the insulting, the why you don't ever spend no time with me, or, I love that you got a job, but you always gone. Like, little, instead of doing things like that, you more so are able to, say, I appreciate you, and I know that you're busy with working and doing what you have to do. Just, I miss spending time with you. It'd be nice if you can make a little more time for me. Just kind of like offering constructive criticism, way that, it's going to be received a little better, and not so much come off as negging, nagging, and all that other stuff. So, yeah, those are just some little simple examples of how this could look, and how you all could actually communicate in a way that's healthier than this little toxic trend that's kind of going on.
Yep.
That's all I got.
Yep.
Let
So
me see and check the questions. Chat, any comments, questions? Have you guys experienced this, heard of this? Is this new? Is this like, have y'all, oh no, never heard of it, never thought about it? Hope
no,
not.
no,
Hope not, because then you heard it here first.
Not the 30-some people.
Maybe not. I don't know. But then again, like I said, it could, like you said, y'all can look at it different. Maybe it's a different term for it, or
No, I mean, this is something that doesn't bother me. I mean, I've seen this multiple times coming from both women and men.
yeah.
And it was always a form of play. to me. So it wasn't something that was coined in
Mhm.
today's society where, I mean, I don't know about you all, but a lot of people have gotten real sensitive in the past, I would say past 10 years, with a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that people just usually normally, do as a form of play. But long gone are those days. A lot of things has changed though, past 20, 30 years, especially dealing
Yeah.
with relationships. And dealing with roles, relationship roles, and then men. The way that the caveman, I'd say, the caveman mindset of a man, always trying to be dominant and aggressive in the household type stuff, and all of that, doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. And then always wanting your wife to do everything in the household. So things have changed drastically in today's society, of course, and obviously the past 30 years, 30, 40 years. Then a
I
lot
think
of
it's
good
just been
things have
ran
happened.
with. It's been ran with too much in the sense of it's
It's
gotten
out of
yeah, it's
control.
gotten out of control to where something
Order.
that was
Order is
playful and
gone.
fun, yeah, was playful and fun is now deliberately being done to hurt a person or make a man feel. In particular, I don't like it so much with how much I see it a lot with insults of how much a man makes and oh you got a job but you don't make enough or oh you how you getting by on that salary stuff like
Yeah, but
that like
normally the person who's saying that don't either. So I
right,
mean, what the hell?
exactly. But it's just it's toxic and it's not healthy to actually be again, it's just kind of ran with. It's no longer that fun, playful way of, teasing or showing that you like somebody or something like that. Like what was once that has been, taken and ran with and turned into something that's
Hurt people
yeah.
hurt people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was always the case, and that was always, that stood the test of time. So that's something that doesn't change. So
Yeah.
yep. With that being said, honey, that was all you had. All
Mhm.
right. With that being said, Blueprint family, thank you all for joining us tonight. And if you all can, please like, share, subscribe our videos. Also, too, on YouTube, Instagram viewers, we love you. YouTube viewers, we love you as
And
well.
Facebook be tuning in too. We be forgetting to shout them
Yeah.
out sometimes.
Shout out to the Facebook viewers. We got so many platforms. We're gonna keep adding them
Yeah.
on and layer them up. And hopefully you all can tune in with us again tomorrow night, same time, same place. You all have a blessed night. Peace.
You're funny.
We need that.